So previously we've been foiling together two binomials to come up with a trinomial. And this time we're going to work backwards. We're going to take a trinomial and factor it and get our two binomials. And when we use the box method, remember we had x times x is x squared. And then we have a negative 15 here, and we had to come up with these two middle terms that I've circled that multiply together to give me negative 15, but add together to give me 2. And so we have to have two things that multiply together to give me negative 15, but add together to give me 2. So 5 and 3, we know they both start with x. We know we need a 5 and a 3. And when we get the middle terms, we have that times that, outer times outer, which is 3x. And we have inner times inner, which is 5x. And we need to end up with a positive 2x. So I know that I need the 5x to be positive. So we have a minus here and a plus here. And those are our two factors. So x plus 5 and x minus 3. And you could FOIL it out and make sure that's what it is. But we know that if we FOILed it, we'd get x squared first times, FOIL, outer times outer, comes next. So negative 3 times x, which is minus 3x. Inner times inner, 5 times x, which is plus 5x. And last times last, 5 times negative 3, which is negative 15. And when we combine our like terms in the middle, we have x squared plus 2x minus 15, which is what we started with and where we just double check to make sure we have the right answer. So those are our factors, x plus 5 and x minus 3. So if we look up here, again, I know if I multiply two things together and get x squared, they both had to start with x. And then I look at 8. I need two things that multiply together here to give me 8, but I need the difference of them. They have to multiply together to give me positive 8, but add up to give me negative 6. So I need something times something equals 8, but something plus something equals negative 6. Two things multiply together to give me a positive number. They either both have to be positive or both have to be negative. And if they have to add up and give me a negative, I know that they both have to be negative. So factors of 8 that add up to be negative 6 would be negative 4 and negative 2. And if you look, negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. Negative 4 plus negative 2 is negative 6. So those are my factors, x minus 4 and x minus 2. So here I would have negative 2x. Here I have negative 4x. So altogether we have minus 6x. So I'm just checking the middle terms. All right, so factor this. So I need two things that multiply together to give me 24, but add together to give me 11x. I'm skipping ahead a section. So again, if there's an x squared, I know they both had to start with x. So I don't really use the box method when it's when there's no number in front of the x. It's just a 1 here. So we don't need to really use the box, but I know they both start with x. I know they multiply together to give me positive 24. And they add together to give me positive 11. Sorry, my smartboard isn't lined up. So they're both going to be positive numbers. So I think of factors of 24. We have 6 times 4, but that adds together to give me 10, so that doesn't work. We have 12 and 2, but that adds to give me 14. That doesn't work. And we have 8 and 3, which adds together to give me 11. So those are the ones. Multiply together to give me 24, add together to give me 11. So I know it's 8, x plus 8 and x plus 3 are my two factors. All right, careful. We need to find two factors that multiply together to give us a 24, positive 24. Add together to give us negative 11. So this one is slightly different than that one in the fact that we have a negative 11 now instead of a positive 11. But again, if two things multiply together and give me a positive number, I know that one, either they both have to be positive or they both have to be negative. And in this case, they add up to negative 11, so they're both going to be negative. I already had 11 on the last one. It was 3 and 8. So this is just going to be x minus 3 and x minus 8 instead of plus. All right. So again, if we are going to fill this in, we would fill in x squared there and 15 here. So these came from these two spots. And then I need two things that multiply together to give me, we're going to introduce this diamond product. And again, you don't need to do this on ones where there is a 1 in front of the x. But in the top goes a times c, and in the bottom goes your b. So in the top, my a times my c is 15x squared. And in the bottom goes negative 8x. And I, again, on the side, want two things that multiply together to give me 15, but add up together to give me negative 8. So let me write that a little bit neater. So two things that multiply together to give me positive 15, add together to give me negative 8, would be if negative 5 and negative 3 multiply together to give me positive 15, add together to give me negative 8. These are x's. Those go in these side spots. So negative 5x goes in the other spot, and negative 3x goes in the last spot. And in this time, we just do the same thing that we've done before with the diamond product. I'm trying to scooch this over. Hold on. Yep. Excuse me, the same thing before that we did with the box. So again, I'm going to need to come up with things that multiply together to give me x squared. I know it's got to be x and x to give me x squared. This would be x times x. And then I have this x times something to give me negative 5x, and that would be negative 5. And then I know I have this x times something to give me negative 3x. So I know that has to be negative 3. And then the last one is kind of our check. So negative 3 times negative 5 is positive 15. So that checks out there. So here's my factors. I just write what I have on the sides. You have x minus 5 and x minus 3. Now again, we could have done that the other way, the way we've done the last few problems, instead of box method, but there's using box method. All right, so let's look at this one. There is no number in front of a, so we don't need box method necessarily. I know, again, they both start with x. I know they multiply together to give me a negative 15, but add together to give me a positive 2. So I want you to think of two factors. What are their signs going to be? If they multiply together and give me negative, what do I know about their signs? And we want them to multiply together to give me negative 15, add to give me positive 2. So if I end up, hopefully you've come to the determination, one has to be a negative, one has to be a positive. And I want them to add together to give me a positive 2, so I know the bigger one has to be positive. Well, what are factors of 15? 5 and 3 are my factors of 15, right? So I want my bigger number to be positive, so I'm going to put minus 3 and positive 5. Those two multiply together to give me negative 15, but add together to give me positive 2. So it'd just be x minus 3 and x plus 5. What are the factors forms of these trinomials? Put me on pause, see if you can do these two, and then come back to me. So put me on pause. All right, the first one you should have n minus 3 and n plus 12 because this gives me a 12n. This gives me minus 3n. So 12 minus 3 is 9. And this one, we have here a 3c, and here is a negative 7c, and those add together to give me negative 4c. So my middle terms are right. So those are my factors. The area of a rectangle is given by the trinomial x squared minus 2x minus 35. What are the possible dimensions of the rectangle? Use factoring. Well, it tells you right there we should factor this thing. So x squared minus 2x minus 35. Again, if it's x squared to begin with, we know they're both x's. 35. So factors of 35 are what? 7 and 5? 35 and 1. So if I look, I know that 1 is going to be negative and 1 is going to be positive because I have to end up with a negative 35. And it looks like, so this tells me I'm going to have one of each sign. This tells me my bigger one is going to be negative. So minus 7 and plus 5. And let's double check and see if that works. That would be a 5x. Here would be a minus 7x. So all together we have minus 2x. So those will be our factors, x minus 7 and x plus 5.